Floyd Mayweather might be the only athlete in history who got rich because people wanted to watch him lose. Not win, lose. For almost a decade, millions of people paid premium money, fight after fight, hoping to finally watch him get humbled. They never did. He retired 50 wins and 0 losses, and every single time they tried to see him fall, they made him richer. Here's the uncomfortable truth. That wasn't an accident. That was the business plan. Money Mayweather was never just a fighter. He was a product, engineered on purpose, sold on purpose, and whether you loved him or hated him, you bought him. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how a quiet, almost unmarketable kid called Pretty Boy Floyd turned himself into the most profitable villain in sports history. The stunts, the staggering numbers, and the one thing the whole act was loud enough to hide. Welcome to the Fame Machine.
Let me tell you something almost nobody understands about boxing. Fighters don't really get paid to win. They get paid to sell. The real money isn't in the trophy, it's in pay-per-view. Millions of people each paying $50, $60, $70 to watch a single night, which means the richest fighter isn't the best fighter. It's the one who makes the most people care enough to pay. Winning is optional. Attention is everything. Keep that in your head because it's the key to this entire story. Now, rewind. Before the diamonds and the private jets, there was just a skinny kid from Grand Rapids, Michigan, born Floyd Joy Sinclair, into a family of boxers. His father and his uncle fought professionally. He had gloves on his hands about as soon as he could walk, and the gym was the one steady thing in a rough childhood. By his 20s, he was, pound for pound, maybe the best boxer alive. They called him Pretty Boy Floyd, slick, untouchable, technically flawless. And here's the problem. He had the winning. He had almost none of the attention. Perfect is boring. Floyd would win every round, barely get touched, and the crowd would go home feeling like nothing happened. Even his future rival, Oscar De La Hoya, later admitted that early on, Floyd made no noise and had almost no market value. He was the best in the world at a sport that pays for drama, and he had none of it. He watched louder, flashier, worse fighters cash bigger checks than his. So somewhere in that frustration, Floyd learned the lesson that would make him a billionaire, and it had nothing to do with throwing a punch. The year was 2007. The opponent was Oscar De La Hoya, the golden boy, clean-cut, charming, beloved, basically the opposite of Floyd. So Floyd made a decision that rewired his entire career. He stopped trying to be liked. As one Sports Illustrated profile later described it, he simply decided to become the villain. And he didn't tell a soul. Pretty Boy Floyd disappeared. In his place walked out Money Mayweather, fanning $100 bills at the lens, calling himself the best to ever do it, practically daring you to hate him. Wearing a sombrero in the colors of the Mexican flag, then renamed the whole day Cinco de Mayweather. HBO filmed all of it for a show called 24/7, and it changed how big fights are sold forever. Now here come the receipts. That fight pulled a then record 2.4 million pay-per-view buys and roughly 100.
But you're right, man. He can't get too excited because Floyd Mayweather
And won the war, taking a split decision victory and walking out with a brand new identity. This is the part to sit with. The hate wasn't a side effect of the act. The hate was the product. Every person who bought that fight praying to watch Floyd get humbled was, without realizing it, paying his salary. He'd cracked the one code that beat him as Pretty Boy Floyd. He didn't need you to like him. He just needed you to pay. Once Floyd understood the formula, he didn't just use it. He built a machine around it. He'd already walked away from legendary promoter Bob Arum and started his own company, Mayweather Promotions. So he wasn't only the star of the show anymore, he owned the show. Which means every insult, every stunt, every stack of cash on Instagram wasn't just noise. It was free advertising for a business he controlled. And the numbers stopped making sense. Forbes named him the highest paid athlete on the entire planet in 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015. Then again in 2018. By the end of the decade, Forbes touted him as the highest paid athlete of the entire 2010s, with estimated
For one night. And the fight itself? A careful, low-risk decision that critics called one of the most boring main events ever. Didn't matter. They'd already paid. 2017, he came out of retirement to box Conor McGregor, a man who had never had a single professional boxing match in his life. People called it a circus. Over 4 million more of them bought it anyway.
He reportedly made another $280 million, stopped McGregor in the 10th round, and pushed his record to a perfect 50 wins and 0 losses. By now, the boxing was almost beside the point. The flexing was the content. The betting slips, the 2 private jets, the color-coded fleets of Bugattis and Ferraris. He turned his crew into a brand, the money team, TMT, and stamped it on everything. Because here's what he was actually selling. Not boxing, a feeling that you were watching a man who simply won at everything, all the time. The persona had become the product, and the product sold itself. But the louder that character got, the more it hid. Here's where the story turns, and I want to be careful and factual with this part, because it's the part the show was loud enough to bury. While the world argued about pay-per-view records and who really won which round, there was a darker, documented record running underneath all of it. In 2011, Mayweather pleaded guilty to a reduced domestic battery charge and no contest to 2 harassment charges stemming from a 2010 incident involving his then-girlfriend, Josie Harris. According to reporting from outlets like CNN and CBS at the time, 2 of their children witnessed it. He was sentenced to jail and served roughly 2 months in 2012. Multiple news organizations reported it was not the only such case in his past. Sit with that timeline. He went to jail one summer and was headlining the biggest, richest fights on earth not long after. The money character, the winner, the genius, the man who never loses, was so loud, so entertaining, and so profitable that for a lot of people it simply drowned everything else out.
That's the quiet cost of a truly great sell job. The product didn't only make Floyd rich, it made it easier for the rest of us to look away. So when you look back on Money Mayweather, look at what you were really watching. Not just a boxer, a character built on purpose by a man who figured out earlier than almost anyone that talent doesn't pay. Attention does. He took the most risk-averse, frustrating style in boxing and turned it into the most expensive ticket in all of sports. And he did it by selling you a villain you'd pay any price to watch fall. He just never fell. 50 fights, 50 wins, 0 losses. And these days, the whole internet is obsessed with one question about him. Is Money Mayweather actually broke? Maybe, maybe not. But honestly, that was never the interesting question. Because whether the money is still there or not, the trick already worked. He already got you to pay. Win or lose, cheer or curse, the result was identical. Your money went to him. Maybe that, not any punch he ever threw, was the real knockout of his career, convincing the entire world to fund the one man they all swore they wanted to see lose.